Hello, my friend, and welcome to the study. Tonight we're going to work with some Latin infinitives. We'll do a bit of revision. We're using some paper that we've used before to write some Latin on. We'll be using the back of it. We'll use this rubber eraser and this ruler. This highlighter. Nice, calm blue. Our fountain pen with blue ink and a Kaweko Sport mechanical pencil. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure our paper is nice and smooth. My little buttons are making noise on my messy mat, my painting surface. So I've been doing a lot of creative things, so I put this plastic mat down, and it's quite good because you can cut and paint and use glue, and it protects the desk. So the first thing I think we should do with our infinitives is to revise the formation of infinitives. Now, let's use one paper for our notes and another paper for our chart. I'll use that one. So we have our conjugations. First conjugation, we could do laudare, to praise. As an infinitive, it means to do something, not conjugated. And if we want our passive infinitive, we're going to write laudare, meaning to be praised, passive. Second conjugation, very much similar. Monere, to warn, and moneri, to be warned. Third conjugation, ducere, to lead, and passive infinitive. Dugeri, to be led. And our fourth conjugation, audire, audire, to hear. And a bit of a mess there with my handwriting, again thinking faster than I can write. Audiri, to be heard. And basically the four conjugations are that way. And if we have our deponent verbs, we have our first conjugation deponent, such as konor, to try, and the infinitive konari, to try. So konor, I try, konari, to try, and because it's deponent, konatus sum, konari. And there's our infinitive. Second conjugation, wereor, to fear, or I fear, and the deponent vereri, to fear. Sequor, sequi, to follow, and potior, potieri, to obtain or seize. So that's our basic ideas of infinitives. Now we're going to revise our construction. If the ink is going to flow very nicely for us. And just to be pedantic, let's go about 5 centimeters each. It'll be about there. And there we go. Now, how do we form infinitives? And we're going to make 2 columns, one for active infinitives and one for passive infinitives. And once we have revised how we construct them, we'll have a look at a few things we can do with infinitives in Latin. So the first row is going to be present, the second future, and the third perfect. Keep in mind, perfect tense comes from the Latin finished, perfectus. I should leave that pen out because we're going to use it. But I think the sound of the cap, the lid of the pen, is quite relaxing. let's do some different verbs representative of our conjugations, and we'll also use our third, fourth mixed conjugation. So the active infinitive. Amare, to love. Monere, to warn. And third, regere. Regere. There go the village church bells, if you can hear them. They've played that same tune for 500 years. Regere, to rule or reign. And now we'll do our mixed 3-4 conjugation. Capere, capere, to seize. And 4, audire, to hear. And this can be easily translated just as our English infinitive: to do, to see, to read. Now our future infinitive is a special case. So we're going to mark it with blue highlighter. Why? Because we use the participle. Which participle do we use? We use the future participle plus esse, and the esse remains in the infinitive, but the participle will match case, number, and gender of the noun that it goes with, and in most cases with infinitive it will be accusative. So, for example, we would have the future participle of amare, which is amaturus. Oh, and esse. Don't forget that. Amaturus, esse. So here you can see the different endings in our present active infinitive, and here we have our future active infinitive. That's our futurus, future ending, and the participle ending plus esse. So what this means is to be about, or about to, or going to. And our infinitive, love. Amaturus esse, about to love, going to love. To be. About to love. So to be about to. So this one we need to match the case with the participle. And our last active tense. And you can hear Mr. Dog. He's a bit noisy in his sleep. He's old and he likes to sleep under the desk, and so I indulge him because he comes in and out and generally makes filming a little bit difficult. He's a bit noisy too in his old age, but I'm happy to give him lots of love and some generous patience for the old boy. So if you hear any groaning and snoring, that's Mr. Dog. Alright, so we have a present and a future, and now we're going to look at perfect. In other words, something that is finished, happened in the past. So for this one, we're going to use the third principal part of the verb plus the isse ending. And the meaning here is going to be to have done something. So very similar to how we form our perfect tenses in English, we always use a to have as an auxiliary. So that's how we will be translating this Latin into English. I think you can hear a voice in the other room as well. And we don't have to worry about that because we're nice and relaxed here in the study. So, our third principal part for amare, amo, amare, amawi. So, amawi, we're going to take that principal part, the stem, and we're going to add isse, amawise, to have loved. And esse, how do we make esse? Fu isse, to have been. We have a few others, irregular ones, that are used. Potuise, to be that way. So from to be able to, and this is to have been able to. Right. And what about ire? We say to have gone, or up ise, except to up ise, up iwi. So adding that. And coepi, a deponent, coepisse, to have begun. looks odd, but we do see future active infinitives in texts. Let's look at the passive construction now. For amo, amare, a passive infinitive is I am loved. Amari, to be loved. And we're just using that ama stem from the infinitive, or the present active infinitive there, the second principal part, and we're adding iri. Monere, moneri, to be warned. Regere, regi, make an R there, nice R. To be ruled. Capere, now capi. So if you remember, the third principal part, capi, is with an E, and this one is capi. I am seized. And audire, audiri, to be heard. And one that is also a little bit rare is our future passive infinitive. So for this one, we need the supine. Supine is like the fourth principal part that forms the participle, except it's an ending, and we use it to form different, or to make different verb forms, like this one. So our participle we know is amatus sum, and we have that us ending on every participle, us, ending, to match the case, number, and gender. But with our supine, we have amatum, and with future, of course, it's amaturum. So, the pencil, there's our future ending and the supine ending. So, I'll put that up here. Supine plus R, so a supine stem plus R and iri. Amaturum iri. So our future passive infinitive. And what does that mean? It means to be about to be loved, or going to be loved. Now we come to our perfect passive participle. Again, we're going to use the participle, and it was so much fun pronouncing the P's that we do here is our perfect participle, matching case, number, and gender. So we have amatus esse as a perfect infinitive, to have been loved. Right, got another Kaweco pen from the Kaweco Sport. Nice teal or kingfisher colour. Let's play with some infinitives. What can we do with them? Well, now that we know how to form them, we know that if there's a participle, the esse and iri as well don't conjugate, and we know that the supine ending never changes. What about deponent verbs? We should put a few here, just for good measure. So the infinitive of our deponent, we have konari. There we go, macrons. All correct. Konari, to try. Wereri. There we go. And that's supposed to be an R. Wereri, to fear. Segui, to follow. Potiri, to obtain. Just a few deponent verbs. Now, the most common reason we use infinitives is with indirect statement. And there are several verbs that introduce indirect statement. Indirect statement is, for example, he says that they will attack tomorrow. They believe the senator to have been mistaken. So something that's reported. Indirect statement is usually after verbs of saying, thinking, knowing, believing, or finding out. This nib gives a very nice sound, but it is a fine nib, so we'll see how it goes with the writing. If it's not very visible, then maybe I'll change it. So with indirect statement, we'll have an accusative, sometimes a subject accusative, plus an infinitive. What are some verbs that introduce indirect statements? Dico, I say. narrow, tell, nuntio, to announce, refero, report, and this one takes a dative, for example TB, just like in English, respond to you or to someone in the dative. Promito, promise. Audio, hear. Video, see. Ingenio, find. Cognosco, get to know, find out. Intellego, understand, realize. Puto, think. Schio, know. Credo, believe. Sentio, feel or notice. Disco, learn. Nego, to say that not or to deny. Again, one that takes the dative, to be. Affermo, to declare to someone or to you. Appareo, and this is used with the neuter and third person neuter. It appears that, so an impersonal one, appareo. There's a few that we have with reflexive pronoun. Can be used with the future imperfect. For example, minor, threaten, which we saw in our examples. Polykeo, promise. Spero, hope. I'll write that down. So, a reflexive pronoun plus future imperfect. I hope that it will be the case. Now, nego is a very interesting one. We'll play with that as well. So I'll underline that. What can we use nego with to deny? Well, here's where we can play with our Latin negatives. We can nego quam, so deny that anyone. We can nego quicquam, which is deny that anything. Nego ullum, deny that any, you can see the neuter ending there, nego umquam, and that's deny that ever, anything ever, something ever. And one last one, usquam. Usquam, anywhere. Deny that I was anywhere near when Caesar was stabbed in the theatre of Pompey. Yeah. Another way we can use infinitives is as an object. Certain verbs will take an infinitive as an object, and this is called the prolative infinitive. Which verbs take the infinitive as an object? Possum, to be able to. Volo, I wish, I'm willing. Nolo, I'm unwilling, I don't want. Malo, prefer. Is a deponent, conor, to try. Timeo, to be afraid, to fear. Statuo, to decide or resolve. Constituo, again, decide, resolve. Audeo, dare. Soleo, to be accustomed to or to be in the habit of. Cupio, desire. Disco, learn. Incipio, begin. Another deponent, coepi, began. Decino, cease. And we can also use scio, to know, to take an infinitive as the object. So, for example, res agi coepta est. The matter, coepta est, began, agi, to be discussed or acted on. To be acted on, to be discussed. Res agi coepta est. And there is our infinitive as the object. There's another way we can use this prolative infinitive, which are verbs that take a person as an object as well as an infinitive. So verbs, for example, eubeo, order, veto, forbid, or order not to, sino, allow, give permission, patior, allow, or do not prevent from doing something, unlike prohibeo, and that is to prevent. kogo, to compel, to force, and dokeo, to teach. So, for example, I teach the puppy to sit. We've got allow, prevent. I prevent them from doing something. Horatio prevented the enemy from crossing the bridge. So these ones we'll use. So we've got here. There's our infinitive as object. And here we have person as an object and an infinitive as an object. We can also use infinitives as the subject of certain expressions. Sometimes this will have an indirect object, as in the dative, such as mihi, placket, it pleases me, or so. Jurat, so may. Jurat, it pleases me. Oh, sorry, juat. I'm going to read my own writing here. May juat, it pleases me. And again, mihi, mos est. It is my custom. I am used to doing something. And mihi necesse est. It is necessary for me to do something. So here we have an infinitive as the object. Necesse est. We have a few examples. Here's a good one. Caesari, dative Caesar, placuit, castra, ponere. Here we have placuit, placket, plus the dative. It was pleasing to Caesar. What is the it? The subject of placuit is castor ponere. This is an idiomatic phrase, to pitch camp. Ponere is our infinitive, which is the subject of placuit. So to Caesar, pitching camp, or to pitch camp, was pleasing. Caesar was pleased to pitch camp. We can also say, if we're translating a larger piece, Caesar resolved to pitch camp. And we know that our infinitive noun, if we need an adjective with it, is always going to be neuter. For example, our ink there. Diutius. Fix my handwriting there. Diutius manere. Manere. Periculosum. Erit. And here comes a dog to open the door for Mr. Dog there. So where were we? Duties manere periculosum erit. Periculosum manere erit. So subject. So there was much danger and stain longer. And we could even say any longer. So now we have some prolative infinitives. Infinitives as objects. We have infinitives plus a person, or verbs that take a person and an infinitive as an object. And we have an infinitive as a subject. We also have some indirect statements, verbs that will take indirect statement. We'll do a few examples of those just for good measure. A good one to remember is nego, which we saw here with all these negatives. Nego is to deny or say that not. So, for example, I'll put it over here. Respondit. Se neminem. Lui disse. He answered that he had seen nothing. So, another one of our negatives there. Or no one, rather. Neminem. We could also say negavit. Say quemquam. We disse as our object. He denied that he has seen anyone. He denied seeing anyone. He denied that he has seen anyone. Or we can also say he said that he had seen no one. They mean pretty much the same thing. And we can translate it both ways in English. So all of the ways to use the infinitive. We've constructed infinitives. We've written down some verbs that take the infinitive. Looked at a few little examples and idiomatic phrases. And hopefully you're nice and relaxed now and can drift off to sleep after we thank our April study patrons. So we're going to use a nice big paper and this brush pen. It's green and a little bit sparkly. So firstly, thank you for watching, and especially our study patrons. Andreas, thank you. Thank you. Ben, thank you. Thank you. Bernie, thank you. Thank you. Joshua, thank you. Thank you. Pirate Carrie, thank you. Thank you. Romulus, thank you. Thank you. Theorem, thank you. Thank you. And Carman 1000, thank you. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons and Mr. Dog for all of your support, sending you to sleep is a pleasure. And there's Mr. Dog himself saying good night from the study. Be good to yourself, be kind to others, and be